I will set the zeitgeist straight.
There's a very specific part of my spinal column that tingles like a rattlesnake when I'm watching a good movie.
This sounds like a transcript of your film conversation with buddies at a party once the edible kicks in. Coen Brothers' latest is a big let-down scheme.
I hate you for making me hear that.
I need a brain, I need a heart, I need courage, I need a refund. Like, what are you talking about? Hey everybody, welcome to Off the Mark, good chat on bad takes of great movies. I'm Dave Columbo.
I'm Mick Andrews.
And this is the beginning of a new era. Fan has requested more, so we're...
Oliver Fan is tuning in.
No, we've had a lot of really great feedback from the first season. A lot of people have been reaching out and saying they can't wait for more, and we just kind of want to take a little bit of a break and kind of put some more stuff together and get some new episodes together, and here we are, season 2. What we do on this fabulous show is we wince through the worst takes of the best movies ever made. All started when I read a review for Jurassic Park, and it was just like, where's the wonder? And I was just like, okay, I need to create an entire podcast about this idea. And so I grabbed you, and I was like, we have to chat, we have to talk. And what's your takeaway from the first bunch of episodes that we did? I think we did like 17 or 18. What's been your takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is just that there was a time in which there was a profession in this country where you could simply say, like, this wasn't what I thought it was or what I wanted it to be and is therefore bad. And that thought would have a material impact on the success or failure of a movie, which is astounding to me. Whether or not people would watch a movie that they might love.
Right, and that's a great point, because it really is, this isn't what I thought it was. Every single review was like, why wasn't the thing nicer? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, because it wasn't. Like, it wasn't. It'd be the equivalent now of just somebody outside the theater going like, it wasn't what I thought, and everyone's just walking by them going like, all right, weirdo. Mm-hmm. Like, mm-hmm. That used to be a job. That used to pay the bills and get you. I mean, it technically still is. There's still people out there doing it, but like, it used to be this like, we are the gatekeepers of movies.
Yeah, I think that's also what I meant, is that like in a very real way, these people were unchecked. Like, it was just their word against no one's word. Like, in the age of social media and everything you ever produce or like put out there for consumption is accompanied immediately with a comments bar underneath it where you get instantaneous feedback from anyone reading it. You really need to like show your receipts and show your work and like back up your arguments with like actual comparisons to other things rather than just like glib, like smug, smarmy little references to other quote unquote better movies.
The vibe from movie critics, when you say smug, you nailed it, because it's this vibe. There's a vibe when you read movie reviews from, I would probably say, the early 2000s back to like the 30s, because we did Wizard of Oz and it was the exact same level of insanity. Yeah. But the vibe is always, I as the movie critic, you're on my side. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about how this movie fails together. But like, clearly this movie had me to impress and it didn't. So let me explain to you, like you're on my side here, right? And it's like, no,
we're all going to agree on this. Yeah.
You haven't earned that. Like, I don't know who you are. Even critics who I do know and were like names that I absolutely like respected for the fact that they have a body of work. That never meant that I was guaranteed that I was going to agree with whatever they said. It was always a case-by-case basis. But the fact that the reviews are like, well, it's me again to spin you a yarn about how...
Time to be the final word on this movie. It's
right.
No. And that can't exist anymore. I really, truly think. I think that kind of walled-off approach to this stuff just cannot exist. Nobody appreciate someone who writes these things in a vacuum. Critics today, modern critics, either do or I would argue should have a greater burden of proof than the writers of old, of like the 90s and the 80s and even the 70s, where they just kind of say like, nope. Now modern critics I see, or at least the ones I watch and appreciate, and the people that I trust their opinion, back it up. They show you something from the movie and they go, this is poor execution of this idea. This is done much better in this movie. And then they show you that clip and they're like, see why that is better? Therefore, the first thing was bad. Like, I appreciate that kind of, rather than just being like, this is probably something the nerds will go gaga over, but not for me. I'm like, all right, fine.
But to your point, it is also this idea of like nowadays, there's not one place to go for the like in the 70s and 80s. If you wanted the review, you got to go to your paper and you got to see what the person who writes for your paper thinks. If I'm watching a YouTube video and I don't like the level of detail and effort put into this review, I can immediately click, and I'm on something 10 times better immediately. So
yeah,
there's an impetus to work harder.
Yeah, that's probably the real reason why people work harder. Maybe I'm just naive because I'm not a like producer of like constant feedback comment where I'm like, well, I'll show him what I think of this. That'll change his life. No, it probably won't. I think the fact that you are competing with other hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people, in order to get the average viewer's attention on, weighing in on whether Barbie was a good movie. Like, there are so many videos that these people are clicking on. So you need to be good. You need to actually be good instead of being the paper's only movie reviewer. Mm-hmm. Like what a catch of a job that must have been. Yeah. Like, and you just held like it feels like a kingdom where you just hold it until you die, and then the person who like did scut work for you inherits the throne, and then suddenly their opinion is the most educated in the Dayton, Ohio area on whether or not movies are any good. You know what I mean? Like, it's just odd. Like,
that's a good wedge into us talking about today's movie. It's phenomenal. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, 2004, written by Charlie Kaufman, directed by Michel Gondry. I remember, this is in my top 5. In terms of experiences, I saw it by myself. I was in college, and I saw it by myself in a theater, and it was a transformational experience seeing this movie in theaters. Because this is 2004. This is before the massive popularity of high concept sci-fi. This was like, I thought I was just going to see a quirky rom-com with two actors who I really, really liked in it. And I watched a recontextualization of what visual storytelling can do. I like to say that Eternal Sunshine is Memento for introverts. I absolutely loved it, and I watched it again recently to prepare for this, and what's amazing about it is it's a completely different movie when you're in a different area in your life. When you've only had a couple relationships, like I dated in high school, and then you go see Eternal Sunshine, you're like, oh, I hope this relationship gets back together. When you have really fucked up and been hurt by somebody else and found red flags and gone through the experience of really wishing that you could just completely erase something from your brain, but then realize that you are a better person, you are a better partner to the partner that you're with because of the things that you learned from the shitty experiences. Like, it's a completely different movie. You're like, oh my God, these red flags that our two leads are expressing to each other, they need to sort them out. What are your thoughts on the movie?
I do. I think it's phenomenal. I don't know if it's necessarily as high on my list as it is for you, but um, it's it might be simply because it is one of those movies, like you said, that like it kind of affects you differently, and it's been a minute since I've seen it. But I loved it. The last I've probably seen it maybe 5 or 6 times. The last time I saw it was a few years back, and I am just a Jim Carrey fan. For however strange he is as a person, I've never seen a Jim Carrey movie where that I didn't enjoy. Again, I came into it thinking that I was like, "Oh wow, Jim Carrey's got some range. He's going to do a romantic comedy instead of like a goofy slapstick." Yeah, and I was equally blown away. My first introduction in this movie to like some other great actors that I came to love over time, like Tom Wilkinson, I always remember as the guy from Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a phenomenal movie. Like you said, visually stunning, and I'd be crazy if I didn't mention one of my favorite screenplay writers of all time wrote this, which is Charlie Kaufman, who wrote one of my favorite movies, which is Being John Malkovich. And if you didn't know that, now that you know that, I'm sure you went, oh yeah, that absolutely makes sense. It's it's such a style that you are either you enjoy tremendously, or I wouldn't even say like, I don't want to say don't understand, but like not for you. Fine. I think it's a kind of unique screenplay writing style and approach to a visual medium. And I love his movies. So I'm a big fan of this movie. I think it's phenomenal, and I am already cringing in anticipation of what these people are going to say about this movie.
It's a lot.
Because it is one of those movies. I'll say this: I will concede it's one of those movies where it's not for you. There's stuff that you could find annoying or maybe trite or like
a little pretentious.
Pretentious, yeah. Pretentious is probably the best word. I get that. But those people are wrong. No, I'm kidding.
No, they are.
No,
that's this whole podcast.
I think there are a lot of things that people think are pretentious that are the things that I enjoy about movies. So like, again, one of the things that we've always talked about on this show is like, just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's not good. I think it's such a swing. It's such a unique movie that you need, like, any critic worth anything at all needs to at least acknowledge like this is going for something huge, and I don't want that, but I'm sure somebody else does. So I'm hoping to see that.
I can't wait to take you on a ride. I can't wait. You're sitting there. You're so naive. You're so.
Since we've done these, maybe I'm coming in a little greener than I used to be.
How long were we on a break, man? But let's also, you mentioned the other cast. Kate Winslet is amazing in this movie. Dave Cross, Mark Ruffalo. I mean,
Elijah Wood.
Like, it's a good. I love those movies because any movie where like some casting director was ahead of their time and they're like, oh, I'm gonna have everybody huge a year before they really blow up.
Yeah.
I love that when that happens, because it's just like, wow, really?
Well, what a who's who. It's like the
All
75 SNL cast where you're like, how did you find all these people before they were who we know they become?
So let's talk numbers. 2004, on a budget, this is so cute, of $20 million.
Oh, wow.
Which wouldn't even get you Jim Carrey now. Wouldn't even just that.
Yeah, that gets you a meeting with Jim Carrey.
Yeah. 34.4 million dollars domestic and 39 international for a worldwide gross of 73.4 million dollars. Did you see the Matt Damon Hot Ones explanation of why movies are so different now?
No.
It was a viral video that came out, and it goes like the death of the DVD really killed the movie industry, because basically what you used to be able to do with the movie industry is you would release a movie, and even if it wasn't a huge hit, you'd release it on DVD and VHS, and it was almost like re-releasing the movie. You'd get a whole other income stream.
Yeah.
And with the death of that, and with the advent of just streaming, all of a sudden, like he talked about the Liberace biopic that he did.
Behind the Candelabra.
Behind the Candelabra. And he goes like, and he talked about the numbers, and he was like, that's a $50 million budget, double that for advertising.
Yeah.
Then you got to split half of that with the venue and the distributor. So like a little movie about like a love story, like a little small scale thing, has to make like $200 million just to break even. It's impossible. And that's the reason why all of these things, the industry is where it is. And you see, like, even back then, one of the best, this incredible movie, like 94 on Rotten Tomatoes, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, walked away with a worldwide gross of $73 million.
$73 million. I mean, yeah, it's still triple its budget.
Yeah.
But that's a worldwide gross too, because usually the foreign market helps. I mean, I thought that's where we were going to go with this, that the international market, like the amount of pandering in movies to the international market these days is just like, it's its own level of product placement.
Yeah.
Like you'll see someone go like, my God, I'm so thirsty for this Coca-Cola, and thank goodness I'm here in Abu Dhabi. And like, it's just like, okay, we get it. Like, this was funded spuriously and not written for me, you know?
Right.
All right. But, you know, I thought that's where we were going with it. Worldwide gross is $74 million. I guess this movie is just not going for an international scene. It doubled.
It doubled it. 34 million domestic, 39 international. Like the international
I would
audience,
argue that the international audience is usually
even more.
I guess, yeah. I mean, like I'm trying to think, and the only movie that's really immediately coming to mind, and forgive me that this is the only movie I can think of, is Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
But like those movies are built for an international market. The fact that we watch them in America is, like, frankly, I think incidental. Like it's written and produced exclusively for like an international scene, and you can tell that the movies have increasingly become that way, because listen, stereo thieves don't go to Dubai and drive like cars that have safes hidden in them off of the top of skyscrapers. They just don't do that in America, at least. I don't know about the international market.
The Fast and Furious movies blow me away, because I literally saw the first one, and I have not seen one since, because I walked out of at the end of the first one, I was like, all right,
Dave, I promise you that I was paraphrasing a movie, but barely. Like,
no,
I wasn't making up a plot there. That's what they've become. That's what you missed out on, David. You need to watch those movies.
But that's my point. Is the first one was too, like, that's a little off the wall for me. Then the other, like, it's like Ludacris in space, you know, like
Ludacris. If I remember correctly, it's either Ludacris or Tyrese Gibson starts out as a mechanic, and then the end of the latest movie is like their guy in a van hacker. Like he gets like, he's the guy who claims like, I've gotten into their mainframe. Like that is where his role morphed into. And it's astounding to watch that journey, because they never show him learning programming. They never show him, doing any of that kind of stuff. So, here's my question to you. I had a thought. How do you think a movie would do if you reduced a movie that like not a Avengers, not a like tiny indie, let's say like a middle of the road kind of movie for modern budgets, but then told everyone you were going to do this, it's going to be in theaters and then it's going to be on Blu-ray and it's not going to show up anywhere else. Like we're telling you right now, we're not going to release it on any streaming services anywhere. How do you think you'd be able to get Blu-ray sales?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. I think that right now that would be a really great marketing ploy. I think a lot of people would go see that movie because it's an event, and because if you say that anything is a collectible or get it before it's gone or will not be available, like the way Disney used to do with The Vault, where it's like, you can't see Bambi anymore. You know, like what the hell? Like,
as a child, the closing of that vault scared me so much.
It's like, why are you
again?
You spent a lot of time on that movie. Don't you just want to sell it? Like when I was a kid, I thought that meant they came to your house and took your VHS. Because it was
like they were recalling every time.
Or remember when advertisements would be like only in theaters? I always read that as it'll never be on VHS.
Yes,
like, oh no.
I believed too, because some of them said coming to VHS, and I had no concept of like time as like this is part of the cycle. It's already out of theaters. It's now on VHS. So when you saw that advertisement, I was like, that's one I can get on tape. This one I can only see in theaters. Like,
by the way, this is the same.
We gotta go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like right now.
We gotta go. Like something like that would work, but nobody would believe you. Like people would do it. But because we're so used to like this video game is an Xbox exclusive, and then like 6 months later, like fuck that. Yeah. So I think that people would go, but they would also be cynical about it and be like, bullshit. You know, like it's not gonna work.
Yeah. So you'd probably get the ticket sales, but no one's gonna buy that DVD.
Okay, so opening weekend, it was fourth behind Taking Lives, Passion of the Christ, and Dawn of the Dead, which I totally get. Like, I understand that even in 2004...
Actually, Taking Lives is kind of surprising.
I bet it was one of those, like, flash in the pan, it did really well for, like, one...
okay. Angelina Jolie and Ethan Hawke. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
At the height of their powers? Yeah, for sure. But that, for the record, only has a 22 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow. So... Kate Winslet was nominated for an Oscar for Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role, and it won for Best Original Screenplay.
Thank you, Charlie.
But here we go. The Observer, March 2004. So just if you're just following the show for the first time, we don't name names of the reviewers who reviewed the movie. And I kind of cut a lot of the incidental stuff in the review because sometimes the review will just cut to like literally a summary of what happened. So we skip over that just to kind of save time. So it may seem a little disjointed, but this is the review. Mr. Clare.
So if you haven't seen the movie,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, at the expense of spoiler alert for minor spoilers. We don't really go into the movies, but go watch that movie. It's a great movie. It'll make you feel better about life and love and things, while also at the same time feeling a little sad about it. But sad is, as someone once wrote, sad is happy for deep people. So if you're feeling sad, that's how you know that the pipes are working the way they're supposed to. So,
absolutely.
So go feel sad and then feel good about yourself for feeling sad. It's a great movie. Hey, sorry,
Observer, March 2004. Mr. Carrey plays Joel Barish, who is hardly funny at all. Instead, he's a sullen...
Wait. My first note is that Jim Carrey plays something not very Jim Carrey-like.
He doesn't save any pets from,
Isn't he talking out his butthole?
He's not dumb or dumber.
Oh, it starts
already
immediately, Dave. It starts immediately.
Oh, just wait.
This isn't the thing I thought it would be.
This is the first sentence. The second sentence is going to make you throw something.
Okay.
Mr. Carrey plays Joel Barish, who is hardly funny at all. Instead, he's a sullen, almost menacingly withdrawn and uncommunicative fellow. Second paragraph.
That's the end. That's the end of that thought.
Right. Here we go. This is what is written. Okay, I know sci-fi has never been my cup of tea.
Oh,
and least of all, that branch of sci-fi that presumes to tamper with the brain.
Here we fucking go.
I mean, it's one end of the spectrum or the other. It's either like this lofty esoteric dialogue, or it's okay, I know. Like it's what is this, a blog? This is the Observer. This is like an actual publication.
Can I just say the amount of movies that we've reviewed, the amount of certifiable hits, the amount of movies that rank in people's greatest movies of all time, the amount of movies that we have looked at where someone goes, as you know, XYZ is not my thing. Mm-hmm. It makes me wonder if critics have anything that would be considered their cup of tea. Like, are these people... What are these people watching? Like, it's like, I enjoy two types of movies: musicals and Kurosawa films. Anything that isn't those things, I'm gonna hate it immediately.
Right.
Sci-fi movies, what? Body switching movies? What? I hate it. And it's for nerds. Like, what the fuck are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I love it.
It's new season, new energy. Let's stay calm.
But just, I mean, also it's poorly written. Okay, I know sci-fi's never been my cup of tea. Like we're yelling at you.
It's poorly written because at no point in this review so far has he introduced the fact that this is a sci-fi movie.
Right.
It's just terribly. That is a terrible writing technique.
Yeah.
So far, all you've done is insult the main character for being like an introvert, and then you go, "I know what you're thinking."
Okay,
the amount of loyalty he must think his readers have to him to know, like, oh, here we go. Kevin's gonna haul off on this one again because
this is very, very. This gets even more personal, and you get that vibe where it's like, I know you're reading because you love me. I know you're. Like, okay, I know sci-fi's never been my cup of tea, and least of all that branch of sci-fi that presumes to tamper with the brain. I don't know about you.
I love someone who not only doesn't like sci-fi but has specific subgenres of sci-fi that they don't like even more. It's like, okay, like so you have like sub levels of hatred for a thing you don't like. Like, just get the fuck out of here. Like,
but also,
this isn't for you anymore.
Did you catch what came next?
I missed it.
That classic line that we all used in middle school when we needed to make our project sound longer. I don't know about you, but even before, like you don't know about me.
Yeah, you're goddamn right. You don't know anything about me.
But isn't that like
you're writing an article?
It's such like literally level 1 writing note, like a teacher crossing that out, going like unnecessary.
Yeah, waste of space.
I don't know about you. Here we go. But even before I was operated on with a subdural hematoma for a few years ago, I have never been comfortable with the idea of anyone poking around in my skull, or anyone else's for that matter, on screen or off. It's hard enough to remember one's life experiences as it is, so I can't imagine anyone so foolish as to seek scientific or sci-fi assistance in paying to forget.
That's literally the point of the movie. That's like, isn't that the point of the movie? Is that not the idea of like what an absurd world we would live in if this were possible?
Yes. I mean, yes, but also this is the worst person to review this movie. Find somebody else at your newspaper who can, like, this is literally someone who has a personal vendetta against any narrative that involves the brain.
Involves brain surgery. Yeah.
He's just sitting there like paying his medical bills, and they're like, Henderson, we need you to do a review for this movie about someone who gets his brain scrambled. And he's
I just can't get over the idea that he goes, listen, I had quite a traumatic surgery in my past that scary and life-threatening, and ever since then I've been a little reticent about brain surgery. But this movie that questions whether or not those things are like proper or should be done, I don't like it because it involves those things. Oh my God.
It's like saying I don't understand why they made Schindler's List. I hate the Holocaust.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know, it's like, yeah. I mean, there's a narrative being told about the thing.
Why would any movie have Nazis in it? They were terrible people. Like,
yeah. I've been in some really bad weather. That's why I couldn't watch Twister. Like, okay.
Yeah. And I honestly, I don't think science is the bad guy. Like, I don't think the brain process in this is inherently deemed evil, but it is clearly designed to make you wonder about, like, is this more helpful than harmful?
Yeah,
like,
no, the whole theme of the movie is
point.
that, like, you're given this godlike ability to remove like a tough thing from your life, and you jump at the chance to do it, but then let's actually look at the ramifications of that
let's
and realize
examine what that really means. Yeah.
And then say whether or not we should have done that, and then picking up the pieces after the fact. Now that we have done it, now we're in this interesting position where, I mean, it's literally one of the most amazing dramatic moments ever, where this couple that has just met for the first time and they have the butterfly in their stomach of can't wait to see each other again. And they have like tapes of each other shitting on the other one because they've been in a relationship for years.
They have no idea. Yeah.
And they're saying all the worst things that they hate about the other person, and the mind fuck that is. That's an incredible narrative like opportunity.
Yeah, I'm just so blown away by this guy going like, first off, being so hyper personal about it.
Yeah.
Being like, I had a brain surgery, therefore you will not like this movie, is a very odd approach. But also to be like, I don't like sci-fi that examines like brain surgery. Therefore, this movie, whose kind of point is, should we be critical about this idea? You shouldn't watch that either. It's not even that science is the villain. It's just that, like, it's like being in a car accident and then saying I can't review a racing movie anymore.
Right.
Like,
it's not the movie's fault.
It's not the movie's fault, and you also have to, like, your job is to stand in our shoes and understand if we would enjoy that movie.
Right. And
not
you're
bring
writing
in all of your baggage and inflict it on us. Sorry, I know that these kinds of surgeries are very traumatic, and I don't mean to belittle that. The guy opened the door by saying that this informed his decision. I just feel like there's a little level of objectivity that's missed on this.
You ready for another line that is what you write in middle school when you want to make your essay sound longer?
Does it start with like "be that as it may" or something like
You're
that?
so close. You're so
really?
close.
Oh, damn it.
It just so happens that I am sick of...
Cool.
Here we
fucking
go.
Rad. Here we go. He gets paid for the word like fucking Dickens. Here we go. All right.
It just so happens that I am sick of fragmentation as a narrative device. With the speeded up time machine at their disposal, Mr. Gondry and Mr. Kaufman prevent Joel and Clementine from having the time to establish an emotional rapport that is worth saving or remembering. There is little charm in the coupling and almost no erotic intimacy, just a series of nerve-wracking conversational collisions.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great note. I think every movie could stand for more erotic intimacy.
Right.
But
the number of these where it's like, they didn't fuck. I didn't see any boobs. There's so many of them where you're just like, guys, like,
yeah.
Get your editor to kind of just cut that part out a little bit, please, because... But like he was sick of fragmentation as a narrative device in 2004. I weep for him now.
That is a tough hill that's a tough stance for 2004.
That's like saying in like 2004, like, I hate multiversal movies. Like, oh boy.
My God, I can't stand extended universes. Can you
Well, let
read
me
the
just-
sentence back one
yeah,
more time? There was
'cause
something
here's the
in
thing,
there. I'm sorry, I'm spacing, but there was
it
one thing
ju-
in there.
It just so happens that I'm sick of fragmentation as a narrative device with the speeded up time machine at their disposal.
That's what it was. Sorry. He refers to the speed up time machine. It's because
We're
the
in
writers
his
and
brain,
directors, we're in his brain fast forwarding through like a slide reel.
as his memories are being ripped away. Here's my argument. My argument is that it's almost like a biopic where like we have to hit every major moment of Freddie Mercury's career in this 2-hour movie. We have to hit all the moments that were important. And I think this movie does an incredible job of capturing in single isolated scenes the fight that ends the relationship. The dining dead where they're the boring couple who has nothing to say to each other anymore, but they're still together. The argument about having kids, the amazing, beautiful first moments when you meet somebody and you like them and you don't know what to say and you want to see them again and you can't wait to call them and they give you your number, their number, and you go home and you immediately call them because you had to talk to them. The feeling of seeing your lover break up with you and then immediately with somebody else. This movie does an incredible job of yes, they are these isolated, fragmented scenes, but when you put them all together, like you can see the full picture and you're watching this full relationship play out. But better than any other movie I've ever seen, these little isolated scenes play out beautifully.
I don't know. I really wanted to see Joel drive from his apartment to Clementine's. You know,
Right, that's what they wanted. Yeah.
I disagree with you respectfully, of course.
Yeah.
I think that we need to see every moment, not fast forwarded.
I need to see Clementine looking for her keys for 20 minutes before she realized, oh, they're right there.
She's
and then
going to make
gets in the
dinner
car.
for them. I need to see her at the supermarket deciding between, you know, one brand of allspice and another. Like that's the hard-hitting elements of this relationship I wanted represented on that screen.
Here's the next line that if season 1 we saw a lot of this on our show, which was the critic saying like, as if the director knew he had a problem, which was always our favorite moment. Here we go.
Yeah, that he's making choices to cover his ass.
Yeah, here we go. As if they were aware of the emotional vacuum at the center of their story, the filmmakers have supplied a tangled subplot involving the shabby, low-rent operators of the psycho scam called Lacuna. Dr. Howard, Tom Wilkinson, is literally the brains of the outfit and is assisted by two easily distracted technicians, Stan, Mark Ruffalo, and Patrick Elijah Wood. The only other employee is Mary, Kirsten Dunst, the standard sexpot secretary.
What?
Who ends up disrupting the entire operation after dalliances with both Stan and her boss. You're... No.
I don't
She's
remember.
not...
That's
She gets high. She has a crush on Tom Wilkinson's character. She dances in her
hooks up
underwear
with-
at one point.
She hooks up with Elijah Wood while he's sleeping, right? Like that's okay.
No, she's with Mark Ruffalo. Like
Mark Ruffalo,
you know,
that's right.
But like they're like under no circumstances is she the standard sexpot secretary. That's such a minimalist view of it blows my mind. Who ends up disrupting the entire operation after dalliances with both Stan and her boss. I detected a few titters from the audience over the horny shenanigans of the deviously lusty Lacune. At least three...
Did he use the Latin plural of lacuna in that?
Yeah.
Lacune?
Lacune.
Like A-E at the end of that? God
He's trying to
damn
make up for
it.
saying it just so happens and that I don't know about you.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
At least these secondary characters were having the kind of relaxed fun denied by the perpetually agitated lead lovers.
Yeah, they're going through some shit in this movie, dude.
Right. Like yeah. The side characters are not the exact same as the lead characters. Wow, you really blew the lid off that one.
It's the whole purpose of that was, if not for anything, to show like this is a job to them. Like they're living their lives. They could care less about how this impacts like Joel or Clementine. Like they've just got to do the wipe and go home. Like that's how they approach it the whole time. Okay.
And they're goofing around the whole time and just like, the fact that
So
you
I'm
notice that
they
they're
don't have a matching level of gravitas to this guy who's about to lose memories of the love of his life. Yeah, like cool. So everyone should just sit and be somber in this movie and just like mourn memories gone. Okay, that would be a much more entertaining flick. Okay, cool.
Perhaps the closet literalist in me was frustrated by the lack of information I was given. For example, we never see where Joel works or what he does for a living. He says at one point,
elements.
It's totally essential. I need to see Clementine at the store to get the food for dinner.
I need her debating between lemon and herb rotisserie chicken or adobo rotisserie chicken.
He says at one point that he's living with a woman named Naomi. Does she exist? There's no visual evidence one way or another because she's a narrative. Oh my God. Okay. In the years I have tried here we go. This hurts. In the years I have tried to communicate what I think and feel about films, I have often said that I am dealing with an art form that may or may not be profound, but certainly is complex. So many things can go wrong, so many intersections of reality and contrivance can become the sites of artistic disaster, and frequent failures are virtually guaranteed. So how do I know whether a movie clicks or not? About all I can come up with after all these...
That's your job.
It's literally your job.
That's literally your job.
It's literally your job.
Tell us. You are supposed to tell us.
Let me see if I can get to... About all I can come up with after all these years is to refer to that sector of my spinal column which begins to vibrate with when an emotional connection is made with some felicitous conjunction of sound and image. This is the review for the movie, by the way. Theme and style, narrative and characterization. This happened to me in the recent past with quirky movies like Lost in Translation, Adaptation, and Groundhog Day. It just didn't happen to me with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and I'm truly sorry it didn't.
Sorry. Can't help but mention Adaptation, written by who?
Same guy.
Charlie Kaufman.
Charlie Kaufman.
So this is an interesting. I'm in a quandary here because I did preface this by saying if you like Charlie Kaufman movies, you're going to like Charlie Kaufman movies.
Right.
But this guy or gal or whoever seems to have threaded the needle of appreciating some but not all of this approach. That's fascinating, and I don't know what to make of that, frankly. I'm just dumbfounded by someone who, in the middle of a movie review where he's supposed to tell you if something is good or not, has this kind of fugue state existential crisis where he tells you he can't tell whether a movie is good or not.
Yeah. He spent the last paragraphs of this review trying desperately in a fever dream to break down what it is he thinks he's doing. And he does not succeed.
He doesn't resolve that issue.
He boils down to I feel a thing in my spinal column.
I found a few that made my movie senses tingle.
Yeah. They made my spidey sense tingle.
There's a very specific part of my spinal column that tingles like a rattlesnake when I'm watching a good movie.
He or she, it's usually he.
Excuse me. Yeah.
He or she literally says, some movies I watch and I'm like, yay. Other movies I watch and I'm like, whoa, that didn't work. And he wrote that. She wrote that.
Oh man,
At least tell it like it is. I do appreciate that a little bit, where it's like, oh, this is not somebody to take seriously.
Yeah, I guess, but it's just, I read that and I'm kind of like, I hope you have opinions on movies. You're paid to.
This is the person.
Write them down, and I would add write them better, but write them down.
This sounds like a transcript of like your film conversation with buddies at a party once the edible kicks in. Where like you don't like you've lost all like cognitive ability. You're staring at an aquarium the whole time and you're just like, the great thing about movies is that some of them are like,
yeah,
some
really
of them
does
stick
sound,
with you and then others
sounds
don't.
like those guys. Yeah, it sounds like those guys at the party who are like, yeah. You ever think about how movies are this like really crazy combination of both light and sound?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and the
combination.
no,
Time.
But the problem is, yeah, it's not all those independently. It's when they all come together. That's when the movie's doing. That's when they're working.
Boom. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Well, that one was so much fun that we really don't have time to get to the second one. So maybe we'll do the second one.
We needed a second one. I'm at the end of my rope on that guy right there.
I mean, it's mind-boggling. I love the way it started. Like, hardly funny at all. Instead,
yeah, I forgot. Sorry, you brought me right back. The review literally starts with just like, Jim Carrey isn't funny.
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
yeah.
I mean, he doesn't say it in this one, but this is just, or she say it in this one, but this is just that quintessential, this wasn't what I thought it would be, and is therefore bad. Why isn't Jim Carrey funny? Also, it has brain things, which aren't for me. And you all know I've never been a sci-fi person. So it makes me wonder, do I know how to review movies? I've liked a few. End of review.
Yep. It just so happens, like the little like lines in here that are like, I don't know about you. It just so happens. Were you being paid by the letter? It had to be, because it's like, oh man, I got to pay this mortgage. Because there's so much where it's
genuinely, like, I'm sure that there's like, hey, we need to fill 2 columns. So get there, man.
God, that's amazing. Okay, so what is your? I mean, did they? Where are you at on Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind now?
Despite his or her best efforts, I still think this is a great movie.
Weird.
Again, not a life-changing, not I wouldn't say top 10 for me. I think it's a great movie, but I'm genuinely disappointed in the review, not because it missed the mark, which I think it definitely did. I knew coming into it, it almost certainly would. But just that there are legitimate things that I think you can point out in this movie where you're like, I don't like this part. I would have done this differently. The approach here is odd and not for me. Like, all fine criticisms, but what a whiff. Boy, yeah. What a whiff.
Could you say all of that again and rephrase it by with starting with, it just so happens that?
It just so happens that this movie is a great one. All of that having been said.
Okay, I know. I've never thought this was my cup of tea. All right, let's move to the best part of the show. 2 reviews and a lie. I am about to read 3 1-star online user ratings for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. 2 of them are real. 1 of them I made up. If Mick can guess which one I made up, I will post that on Rotten Tomatoes under my name as an actual review coming from me of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I love when you start these reviews by telling me that it's a top 5 movie for you, because it just makes me want to get this right so much more.
Oh my God. It breaks my heart.
Sometimes I'm like, I go for the answer that I want to be true.
Yeah.
Now I'm going for the answer that I think is true. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
This one is meaningful. I love it.
These are fun. Review number 1. The only thing I'll say is I wish I could have this movie erased from my memory.
Cool.
When I saw how highly rated it was and the cast, I thought I was in for something special. Instead, I found it boring, confusing, nauseating with a shaky camera, and only makes sense if you pretend it does. What a waste of great actors and okay sci-fi concept, but man oh man, what were they smoking? Review number
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Review number two. I found it dark and self-indulgent. In the end, you feel like this is adaptation 2. Yet another film about a brooding, self-centered guy who can't really relate to anyone beyond his own fantasy life. The dramatic device ultimately used in the film of having the main character fight to preserve his memory fails because it comes across as clever but unsatisfying rendition of psychotherapy. In many ways, this film comes across as something that was done back in the 60s, but now falls flat. Review number 2. Review number 3. It appears that lots of people are believing the Hollywood hype that if you don't understand, it must be great. Well, believe me, this isn't great. It isn't good. It's awful. Uneven direction, purposely choppy plot line, and slow 3 S's, 5 L's, a bunch of O's. Slow pace combined to make it one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Give me a break. Don't rent this trash. Don't even bother with it if it comes on regular TV.
Regular TV. Oh, I love that. Something tells me that's you trying to cash in on the
Trying to get funky?
trying to throw me a little curveball, little one in the dirt.
It sounds like something I do.
Tricky. I'm gonna go with. I think you wrote number 2.
No.
Damn it! Somebody else made the adaptation connection.
Yeah,
I'm genuinely.
yeah. I know.
In 1-star review to make that connection, I'm genuinely impressed with that.
Again,
that
it's
review.
someone who's like, believe me, I know Charlie Kaufman movies. It's like, wow, really? Okay.
Yeah.
No,
it's like, all right.
I wrote the first one.
You wrote the first one. Oh man, that was the one I was like locked in. That's real. I was between 2 and 3. You man. I don't know if it's good news or bad news that you're learning how to write like them. It's good news for your Rotten Tomatoes account, but
my God.
howdy, you've entered into their mindscape.
We don't have to worry about the first thing when you Google my name as my horrific movie reviews. Oh God. So this has been Off the Mark. Please send us a review of a movie that you want us to see. Send us your review of your 1-star review of Eternal Sunshine, and we'll read it out on the show. Tell us what movies we should review. Send us some comments. We'll read them out on the show. Find me at davecolumbo.com, DVD Columbo on Instagram, Dave Columbo on TikTok. And this has been a lot of fun. And please like, share, subscribe. We love doing this. This is the most fun in the world. So as a goodbye from me, Dave.
Adios, everybody.
This has been Off the Mark.